and welcome to the next episode of our Elections Decoded series. This is our panel of experts from the University of Pretoria, and we are discussing issues ahead of the next elections in May. Today's episode is on Fluidity of Freedom, Democracy at a Crossroads. Roland, give us an example, an overview, if you will, of how the concept of freedom has evolved in democratic societies over time, the last 30 years or so.
Okay, I think important is to understand that freedom is the basis. You cannot have democracy without freedom. And freedom implies certain inalienable dimensions, such as the right to association, to movement, and to thought or information. And that's the essence of the freedoms that underpin the idea of democracy. Without freedom, there is no democracy. But without democracy, freedom also will become extinct. So it's an intertwined relationship, but freedom is not equal to the concept democracy, and the concept democracy is not necessarily freedom. Freedom is a much broader concept.
And technology being technology and how it's developed so rapidly over the last 30 years, that's had an impact on democracy and freedom. How have we in South Africa tried to counter that?
The Independent Electoral Commission, for instance, have provided some guidelines on use of technology and social media during elections, because when this technological advancement is not regulated, you see that it is subject to manipulation. Then it could reverse the gains that are actually anticipated. And most importantly, at the continental level, the African Union, you have some instruments, guidelines on access to information, and among others, and as well as at the UN level, we also have some instruments that provides for how do we interact using technological tools to express our freedoms, which feed into the broader democracy.
How does the media help us understand this? How does the media help us ensure democracy and our freedom?
One of the tenets that comes from freedom is having some media involved in a democracy, and more importantly, having media that is objective, media that is somewhat removed from the government as well, so that whatever is being shown in the media does not have any leaning to a particular group. Now, whether or not that's something that happens all the time is its own different conversation and its own different debate. But I think South Africa's media landscape is somewhat healthy, in my opinion.
Ompha, tell me, can South Africa accommodate the kind of change, the kind of dissent, the kind of disagreement that is prevalent within the country?
I think democratic institutions are not necessarily adapting, but they're rather reactionary. So for them to actually consider the changing societal norms and values, something has to be done or something has to happen. And quite frankly, the language that we use in South Africa, which is protest, has been helpful. But we can't be protesting all the time in order for culture, in order for us to be regarded as a changing society. Our cultures, our norms are changing regularly, but there seems to be a reliance on the traditional norms. It's been, or tomorrow it will be 30 days of democracy, yet we still have reliance on issues that were adopted, on issues that were concerning in 1994, but they're still applicable in 2024.
So now we have more questions than we have answers. But can civic education help us solve this problem?
Absolutely. I think that civil society is the best place of expression of freedom and of expression of active democracy. And civil society in its layered forms that takes away politics from the conversation. Civil society is one of the spaces that says you can be a part of a political party, you can be, non-partisan, you can be independent, doesn't matter. Fundamentally, this is the issue. And we need to figure out how we can all work together to solve it. We need to figure out how to be active citizens in South Africa. And I think South Africa's civil society space is extremely active. So active that they are burdened with some of the responsibilities that should be sorted by institutional state level matters, right?
It comes back to the issue of elections, why people are not engaged. I think that there's the idea of education, civic education is transcended. Now we're talking about engagement. It's more of engagement, otherwise people actually have information, but they are not engaged.
I think a key issue is also, of course, freedom is not a solution. Freedom is a medium, it's a requirement, it's fundamental too. It comes with responsibility and willingness to use your freedom effectively and responsibly. But freedom in itself is not the solution.
What we've seen is that most of the civil societies are targeting university students, but we don't have the fundamental understanding of what democracy is and the areas of focus and what it actually constitutes. So we all have, it becomes a contested issue when it's quite a simple issue. So if we start early, then we would have more engagement since people will know. Yeah.
Super. And let's leave that as the last word. And thank you very much to our panel. That's it for this episode, and we'll see you in the next episode.